my calculations are correct, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Beaming to you directly from Hill Valley, California, it's your number one source for news, speculation, and discussion exclusively for Universal Studios FanFest Nights. With your hosts, Undead Ed McFly and Doc Varro, it's the Halloween Horror Nerds.
Welcome, one and all, to another episode of the Hollywood Horror Nerds.
That was a great introduction to what I'm calling Season 2 of the Halloween Horror Nerds.
Is it because it's the first episode of the new year?
It's the first episode of the new year since the last Horror Nights. We had a few bonus episodes that were old recordings from the summer that someone was very lazy cutting and putting out there, but you did get to listen to the end of Jason Fest in December, everyone's favorite time to go to summer camp. And now we're back. So there hasn't been a lot of news, and we've been very busy with our normal lives and with our paying job. We don't make money on the podcast. But we are back. There hasn't been a lot of Horror Nights news. There's been some general Universal news. They're opening a new park in Great Britain. Universal Epic Universe is doing test shows right now in Orlando. There's a whole Universal Monsters land there. They have given us more information about the Universal Horror Unleashed permanent residence in Las Vegas. We're not here to talk about any of that today. Doc Varro, tell us what we're here to talk about.
Thank you. Today we're going to be talking about FanFest that's coming up and what it is, what it's about, and are we going? And if we are, what are we wearing?
Universal Studios FanFest Night. So this is something we did mention this because it had been discussed kind of in the ether towards around last Horror Nights. But at the time, it was very unclear what it was. I remember talking with you and with our other friends, like, what even is this? And they came to ask me, because we're the experts. And I was like, I have no idea. No one knows what this is. And it felt like even Universal didn't know what it is. And now it's only a few weeks away. I believe the first weekend is the weekend of April 25th, which is 2 weeks from today's recording. And now there is some clarity about what it is, but not total clarity.
Yes, it looks like FanFest is going to be, sometime this April. We'll have to get back on the exact date, but yes, it starts this...
I know the dates. Now, this is the theme of the podcast, because Doc Varro, my understanding is you know very little about FanFest Nights. You know that I've forced you to attend, but you don't know that much else.
You are forcing me to attend, yes.
Against his will, yeah. Because in the usual horror nerd, I keep him in the crypt. We've been resting in the crypt, and we only awaken when there is Universal Studios Hollywood's events going on. So he's been in the coffin a little too long. But he's getting let out for this one. But you're not very aware of all the different offerings. Would you say that generally that's true?
That is generally true. I was going to be doing a bit of a research before this episode, but I figured make this more of a interview towards you to explain it to all the rest of our viewers who may not know what this is. So we'll be in the same boat.
For many of the viewers who, again, are questions about this, Doc Varro is going to have your same questions, and hopefully he will ask them, and we will be able to get as much clarity as we can. We're also going to bring our specialized expertise on Halloween Horror Nights to bear here, because I think we have some idea of how Universal runs these events, and I think a lot of it's going to carry over into how this event is run. Because this event has been described, when they first pitched it, they said it's Comic-Con meets Halloween Horror Nights. It's if the two got together, and in San Diego, they had, one of those drunken post-Comic-Con parties between the event and Horror Nights, and they have this baby, and now it's Universal FanFest Nights. So what exactly have they birthed? Alvar, are you aware of the different IPs that are at the event?
Just like I was told, I did not look up anything for this episode. So
you don't know anything.
Of my questions. It was going to be part of my questions this time.
So you don't even understand why we have Back to the Future names.
I understand that it's going to... I do understand it's going to be part of the... I think it's one of the IPs that's going to be at it, but I didn't get to look too deep into it as You put that that information embargo.
Yeah, but there was a very high tariff between you and the FanFest information. But we're breaking
Yes.
it down right now. So let's just start there. So this event is all formulated around central IPs. It's not every IP in the park. In fact, it's mostly IPs that did not exist in the park, but they're coming specifically for FanFest Nights. And the headliners are Star Trek, Back to the Future, Dungeons and Dragons, One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen,
Ooh.
and enhancing the already existing offerings that exist in the park are the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Super Nintendo World. So those are the 7 main events. Of those, Star Trek, Back to the Future, Dungeons and Dragons all have some kind of immersive experience. They're all a bit different. One Piece has what they're calling a fan zone, which is the equivalent of a scare zone. Jujutsu Kaisen is having a show at the DreamWorks Theater. Meanwhile, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and Super Nintendo World are just enhancing what exists in the park already with some extra shows, some activities in their specified lands, and new meet and greets. That is the broad headline. Doc Varro, give us your impression.
That sounds very exciting. The fact that they're adding anime into this mix kind of is a surprise for me. I shouldn't be too surprised considering that Horror Nights has included games and their adaptations into the IPs. So I feel like the overall consensus on anime has grown, and the popularity of it has grown over the years. That I should not be surprised now that it's coming full circle into mainstream events like this.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting lineup. I think it has something for everyone. I think they were smart to get Star Trek because I think that's going to pull in a big Trekkie audience who will travel for Star Trek events. And there hasn't been a real good Star Trek immersive experience since Star Trek Experience closed in Vegas when we were still back in high school. It's been closed for a long time. So this is going to be a little taste of that. I'm worried that's not going to live up to expectations maybe for the Trekkies. I think that's going to come with a high level. But we'll get into that when we start talking about the individual IPs. I do think getting the anime was smart as well because I know that, I mean, I'm not into anime at all, except maybe like Pokemon when I was a kid. But there is a huge audience. I know especially for One Piece is extremely popular. And I've seen people online who are going to this just for the One Piece portion. And I think it's interesting because the One Piece is going to be, I mean, you imagine all these different IPs are going to have their own little zones. And I think you're going to have people who either I'm like a major Star Trek fan or I'm a major Back to the Future nerd or I'm a major One Piece guy. I just want to stay in that particular zone, which is different from Horror Nights, where I feel like when you go to Horror Nights, you're a fan of horror. And maybe you prefer this house to that house, but you're interested in all of them. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case here.
You're not into anime? That is a surprise.
No, I can't with anime.
I will say that One Piece, and I only know of One Piece. I've never watched many episodes of it. So what I understand is that it's the friendship defined along the way that's the real treasure.
I know that they're pirates, and the main guy is a ripoff of Mr. Fantastic's stretching powers.
Yes, in that he does stretch. Rip off? I don't know if that's accurate statement.
No, I don't. He doesn't rip his arms off. He's a rip off.
No. That he's a rip off. That's what I mean.
Oh no, I'm sure there's. If some One Piece fan hears me say that, they'll be in our email very very loudly explaining why that's not true. But yes, that's how I see it.
Please don't start fan wars. I don't want to be caught in the middle.
Yeah, there might be some serious fan war going on at FanFest Nights. They're going to need a combat arena.
But however, shifting to Star Trek, I wonder if the Church of Spock will make.
I think so. I think so because something that they're really pushing for FanFest Nights is cosplay. If you've seen the advertisements they've been doing for this on TV or in real life, there's been a lot of billboards. That's been a major focus of you can show up in costume. That's not something they usually allow at the theme park. You're not supposed to show up dressed as a character, because they don't want guests being confused about this person is an employee who's here and he has all these standards he has to follow versus this guy just decided to show up dressed like Marty McFly, and do I get his picture? Do I get his autograph? Is he going to say weird things? They don't want to have that confusion. But for this event, they are not only allowing cosplay, they are encouraging it.
Yeah, that is a very curious switch up that they are doing. It reminds me of when we went last year to what was it?
Midsummer Scream.
Midsummer Scream, exactly, where everyone was dressed up, everything was encouraged, and we took pictures with several people that were just random people dressed up.
People took pictures with us because we were dressed up.
We were dressed up. I wonder if they're gonna make it a rule though that you can't have face masks.
There is some rule about faces where you need to have, you can't cover more than 50% of your face. You need to have, there's difference between if you do like a vertical 50% versus a horizontal. They basically want to be able to see that you match who is on your ID if you go and order alcohol. It's really, that's what they're worried about.
The funky juice. Okay.
Yeah. And speaking of alcohol, that's a big part of the event too. Not only alcohol, but food as well. This is something that is at Horror Nights, and it feels like it's become a bigger part of it. We do talk about it, but they're really pushing kind of the boutique foods. And in fact, unlike Horror Nights where there's one or two themed eateries, for this, every IP I just named, all 7 of them, they all have unique food that's just for this event.
Ooh, I wonder for Back to the Future, what's their gonna be their unique food?
I'm going to tell you when we get there.
Ooh, okay.
And as we go through, also a note on the food, I'll highlight some of the foods that I think are the most interesting. But there is an option to purchase a Universal, I'm going to get the actual name here, but there's some kind of food pass you can purchase. The Universal Fan Fest Nights Dining Pass, which will let you get 6 items, 2 entrees, and 4 snacks, desserts, or beverage. So if you're someone who is interested in a lot of the different foods, and you're more interested in kind of going for a graze than I want to just sit down and have a full meal, this might be a way that you can taste all these different worlds that you're supposed to be transported into.
Yeah. I feel as long as you don't get all that food in one go.
No, you get a pass, you parse it out through the night. They haven't announced exactly what food is available or the pricing on that, so you're going to have to actually see how that turns out. I know Disney does something like this for their Food and Wine Festival as well, and I think they're just trying to ape that here. But it's a good idea, but we'll have to see on the execution.
Got it. Yeah, like always. On paper, it can sound one way, but only in execution will we know if it actually pans out well, or if it's going to be requiring changes for the next time around.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get into it. Let's start going through these different IPs, because that is what's drawn people to this event. I mean, part of it is also that you're just going to be able to go to the park after hours, all the thrill rides. I think any ride that would be open during Horror Nights will be open during this as well, so I wouldn't expect, Secret Life of Pets and Minion Mayhem to be operational. Every other ride should be. And I think also like Horror Nights, you will see the lines for those rides will not be as long as they usually are, because people are going to be going to these experiences more so than the rides. So if you haven't been to Universal in a long time and you're interested in going on Harry Potter or Jurassic World in the dark, this is a good opportunity to do that as well. But I think what is drawing people is primarily these kind of boutique attractions. So let's start with Star Trek, because that's the first one that Universal starts with in their list. So Star Trek is one of the 3 that has their own unique immersive experience. Here they're calling it a pulsed story-based walkthrough experience. You are going on an immersive adventure in the year 2403 aboard the USS Enterprise NCC 1701D, which is very specific. That's the Enterprise from the Next Generation, the early seasons, and also from the last season of Star Trek Picard on Paramount Plus. We're not sponsored, but please sponsor us, Paramount. We'd be a great sponsor for you.
I will say, moving forward, I'm just going to call it the Enterprise. I will not name it its full legal name.
I think you have to. That's very discriminatory towards Enterprise. But anyways, part of why I mentioned it's from that 3rd season of Picard is because they've actually transported the bridge that they used in that 3rd season into Universal Studios Hollywood, and you'll actually be able to walk on the actual screen-used bridge during this walkthrough attraction.
That sounds amazing. now I kind of want to see if they're gonna have any actors or any people dressed up as.
There will be
characters.
actors.
So I will be able to take a picture with Lieutenant Spock.
Well, that we don't know. It's not clear what these actors are going to be, if they're going to be playing people from the show, or if there's going to be a walk-around character outside the show, or maybe he's Spock, or they're leaning more into Next Generation. It would be Captain Picard or Commander Data. But will they be in the attraction themselves? I don't know. I think what it's going to be, let's see what they tell us about it. What starts out as a run-of-the-mill tour of the ship descends into chaos when an interstellar threat starts to wreak havoc. The warp core destabilizes. You'll need to find a way to escape or investigate. After all, your continuing mission is to seek out new life and new civilizations. Universal is saying, they go on to say, it's really intended to be an exploratory experience. You get a sense of being able to take it all in as both the story unfolds around you and you get deeper and deeper into the ship, being able to experience all those details in the scenic environments. It comes to life with the help of special effects, audio-visual effects, multi-sensory activation, and themed performers all working together to create an unforgettable fan experience. So these walkthroughs, I feel when you say a pulsed story experience, my mind goes to a Horror Nights maze. And this is being put into, I believe, where the Walking Dead attraction used to be. So this feels like it's going to be similar to that, but whereas the attraction of a Horror Nights maze is you go through and people jump out of you in scary costumes and try to spook you. That doesn't tie into Star Trek. Like maybe you'll turn a corner and the Borg will jump out once or twice, but that's not going to be the backbone of this. My question is, what is it really going to be as you go through this? Is it going to be like different show scenes that you walk into? I don't think it's going to be very interactive. I don't think it's going to be like the Millennium Falcon ride at Disneyland where you push buttons. But I think it's going to be more like a show. I'm also curious on when they say pulsed, because at Horror Nights they say pulse, but it's really just a conga line of people going through. If they're trying to have discrete show sequences in each room, is it going to be more strict? Like we're going to let a group of maybe 15 people in, they all go in together, they stay in the room till the scene's done, then move to the next room? Or will it just be, we try to let people in groups and they walk through at their own pace? Because I also know with Star Trek, more so than Horror Nights, people are really going to, especially when you get to the screen-used bridge, people are going to want to stop and take pictures and take selfies. And some of the promotional images that they've shown really push that. Oh, wow, it's so cool, I'm on the bridge. People are going to want to take pictures with that. So I have a lot of questions about how this is going to play out. But are you much of a Trekkie to start with, or do you know much about Star Trek?
I know enough. Like, I can do the hand sign. I know that, what is it?
Live long and prosper.
Yes, Commander Spock is half human, half Spockian. I don't know.
Vulcan.
There you go. Thank you. Half human, half Vulcan. It's just tidbits here and there. I do love Data as the human android.
Data's great.
Yeah. It's just I grew up with enough awareness of it, but I feel like for the most part this was before our generation really kicked off, and then when they made all the new shows, it was already when we were in our teens. So it's kind of like a weird place where Star Trek came into our lives, I feel like.
It was. We had Enterprise when we were in like elementary school, but when we were in middle school, high school, it was just reruns. You had to watch the reruns. And they only ran on like BBC. Yeah,
and they ran late at night when most parents would not have allowed us anyways.
Yeah. We had the movies. The movies were pretty solid, I thought, with Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt, but
not Chris Pratt, the other Chris Pine.
No, Chris Pine. Yes, it was. Like
I get
Chris
them mixed
Pratt.
up.
There are a lot of Chris's. Don't forget Chris Hemsworth.
But this is leaning into the Next Generation era, which is probably the Trekkiest of the Trek eras.
Was this in the 90s?
This was the 90s. This was with Patrick Stewart and Data.
Yes, Patrick Stewart, Data. Definitely, that was again right around the time that we were still in elementary school. So even if
it was over by then. This was when we were born. It was coming out.
Oh,
we were babies when this one was. It was 90s. This is 90s. This is late 80s, early 90s.
See, even more when I'm talking about it kind of passed us. However, this is not to say that old TV is we're not into it because it's old. Because moving into others, there's like all the 80s slasher films that we're into, that is before our time, but we're still into. But it just, I don't know, it just didn't have that kind of pull. By the time
Yeah,
we
I don't.
were
I enjoy. I mean, my
watching this.
family is more into Star Trek than I am, but I can put on a Star Trek episode and enjoy it. So, as someone then who you're not a big Star Trek fan, but how would you rate your excitement first of all for Star Trek coming to the event? Period.
I think it's nice.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being your excitement for going on the Fast and Furious Supercharged at the end of the studio tour, which praise the gods, hallelujah, it's gone now. But your excitement to go on that, and a 10 being what was your favorite Halloween house of all time? That would be a 10.
I think it's about a 7, just
7.
primarily because I'm excited for the photo op, being able to sit on the bridge and taking photos there. It's gonna be quite a scene with our costume choices, which we'll talk about more later.
When we get to the correct, yeah, we're not doing Star Trek.
Yeah, we're not doing Star Trek, so it's gonna be a fun little mashup of our costume choice and the Enterprise.
Well, I have still some questions about the walkthrough. I also have questions at Horror Nights. There's not a lot of special effects. The biggest special effect you have is stuff gets blasted in your face, or there's a guy on stilts. But when you have
television,
or the smells. But when you have Star Trek, you have a sci-fi IP like that, there is an expectation for a higher level of special effects. Would you agree with that?
definitely, and I feel like it's gonna be a bit difficult to what you were commenting earlier, if they're gonna be breaking them up into groups and waiting for one group to finish before setting in the other one, because that's just gonna cause a big line, and especially at the photo op section.
I do question also how these lines are going to work, because there's only these 3 immersive experiences, and I feel like those lines are going to get slammed like nothing else. Because at Horror Nights, there's maybe 8 or 9 different mazes you go through, and bringing that down to 3, I would definitely recommend you purchase Express. You can cut through the line.
At bare minimum.
Yeah.
However, if this is anything to go by, Horror Nights, Express has become the new general line.
Yeah, but it's not as bad. It's not as bad as General is. It'll be maybe
course.
20 minutes on Express tops.
Yeah, but still, again, if you can, I would do Express, but that's my input. Also, just Star Trek again has a large following already, with the whole religion that it accidentally founded. So you can only imagine that the amount of fans for Star Trek is going to be huge. So if you're like a casual fan, you might want to hit it early before the lines get...
It will also be the closest to the entrance being placed in that Walking Dead attraction space, which is across from Universal Plaza, which is also across from the Waterworld show. And if that doesn't help you make sense of where it is in the Universal Park, you just haven't been recently. So I'm sorry, I can't help you if you don't know where things are. Now, continuing beyond just the walkthrough experience, there's also 2 offerings. Outside that, there is a food offering and a drink offering. So at Quark's Cafe, which I believe is from Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which I have not seen because I am not Trekkie enough. That was the Trekkiest of the Trek shows. But I'm not that deep. But that's where they have food. Hollywood and Dine, I believe, is also near the Waterworld show, if I'm correct. And that's where they had the Chucky food 2 years ago. And also across from the Chucky bar last year. And that's the food offerings. They have things like the Klingon Targ legs. They have a Cardassian corn dog, Orion Spice funnel cake.
Did you just say Kardashian?
Cardassian. They predate the Kardashians.
Oh, okay.
And they're much more attractive.
Oh, dear.
There's also the 10 Forward Bar, which is right across the way. This is where the Chucky bar was last year. They'll have a full menu of Star Trek drinks, including both Romulan and Cardassian ale. They have a tea, Earl Grey, cold and hot drink. You can either order it cold or hot, just like Captain Picard always orders tea, Earl Grey hot on the show, except this one also has bourbon. They also have Klingon blood wine. So they did go all in. This is something that they're really, again, pushing for the event, is that we have all these fun kinds of food and drinks for you to get. where I'm going to caution people who are excited for this, especially the Trekkies, is you've experienced this as well, Alvaro, that when you go to the food at Horror Nights, the theming is light.
Yes.
You should not expect you're going to be walking into an enclosed space and it's like you're walking into the Enterprise again. It's going to be maybe there's some stuff on the wall. If you're lucky, there will be 1 or 2 props. And that's going to be about it for the theming.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting take on it. And then also with food, I remember we complained about it last time that when we ordered it on the app, if you're going to be hungry when you get out of the line, you should order it when you first start.
You should plan it with the mobile app. Although we didn't have to use the mobile app last time we were at Horror Nights because we had the VIP, so we just went back to the VIP lounge if we got hungry.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they use mobile order for these late night events. I know they do during the day, and I hate it. But I am excited for the food. I don't think that the eatery itself will be themed to a level that might be expected by fans who have not been to Horror Nights before. And I do want to caution people. If you think I'm going to go, it's going to be like a whole Star Trek land, like it's Disneyland, but Star Trek, no. You're going to get a highly themed walkthrough experience. That will, if they do it right, that will feel like you walked on the Enterprise. The food will be themed. It will look funny. It'll taste kind of cool. It'll have a funny taste, but it usually tastes pretty good. I've never really been disappointed with their weird food. Mm-hmm. But the eatery itself, the theme will be light. And we can actually see some of it go up. And it does correspond with what I've been telling you. Some of the construction that's been happening around this courtyard they're going to put 10 forward. It's not going to be enclosed. Some of it is even leaning more into just general fan fest imagery than specifically Star Trek. But I did see some things that look like this is supposed to be your window out into space. But again, it's just a poster. It's not like a screen. Yeah. So don't set your expectations too high. And don't expect there to be like a Ferengi or a Vulcan serving you the drink either. It's going to be a guy in a Universal Events polo.
No, I want Data serving me drinks.
I mean, that would be great, but I don't think they're going to flesh out. They also haven't said whether there are going to be walking around characters for Star Trek. So it would be very cool, but I do not know if that's happening.
See, the thing is that was one of my concerns with everyone in costume. How do you know who's an employee when you're walking around? I'm assuming that the employees will be the only ones not in costume when you're walking around.
Well, that's all I have for you on Star Trek. So now you had this as a 7. Now that you know everything that's coming, has that raised or lowered your number? Or is it the same?
I think it's about the same. If anything, it lowered to a 6, just because.
There's a lot of questions.
Yeah,
there's a lot of questions. Yeah. This is the one that I feel like I have the most questions about, and it's one like we talked about last year for Horror Nights when we talked about the Quiet Place mix, which ironically is actually in the same location as the Star Trek is. This is going to live and die based on execution? Can they execute all these effects that you need to create that experience? A Quiet Place, it was kind of I think for Star Trek you could hit a higher bar. I think, and because there's fewer things to focus on, they should be able to put more money in each experience. So I'm more optimistic than I was for Quiet Place.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see and exactly how they execute the walkthroughs, the photo ops, the food sections.
All right.
We're going to be a wait and see moment.
The next big IP, this is also one of the 3 that has its own immersive experience. Back to the Future, Destination Hill Valley. Dun, dun, so before I start talking to you about what's coming for Back to the Future, just how excited are you again? 1 from 10, Back to the Future, back at Universal Studios Hollywood after like a 20-year absence.
I'm gonna be at a low 20.
Yeah, I think that's about right. And this, by the way, this is what we are going to be dressing up as. Yes. I have an epic, it's really coming together, a really epic Marty McFly costume. We'll post pictures on our social media, and I don't want to spoil it too much, but I've done I've done it, and I've got a little help. There's been a lot of custom work done to pull this costume together. Ooh. My goal is to have the best Marty costume and also to have a better Marty costume than the actual employees there.
I was going to say then better than the actual actor, and I was like, I don't know.
No, that's hard to do. I can't do the hair. I'm too old to do the '80s hairspray. That Mike with the middle part. That's union. That's a young
You
man's
can do
hairline.
it. I feel like if we just left you at a hair salon, they could make it work.
Probably. If I get a hair system.
Yes. I'm excited for Back to the Future to be back. Let me guess. Is it gonna be down at the town?
Yes. So Destination Hill Valley is a nostalgic story-based experiences featuring many of the iconic characters from Back to the Future. Guests will climb aboard the Studio Tour fan tram and be greeted by Doc Brown as they begin their time travel adventure on the way to a thoroughly decorated courthouse square on the Universal backlot that will allow guests to feel like they were walking in the footsteps of Marty McFly when he first travels back in time in the film. And once you're on the courthouse square, the way they're selling this is very interesting. It's not a walkthrough attraction. I'm going to call it a walk around attraction. And it feels almost like a Back to the Future Renaissance fair where the characters will be there. And they're saying you can go up and just talk to them, but also they will, from time to time, over the course of an hour, different story beats will happen from the movie. They've been a little tight-lipped on what exactly story beats, but they have said the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, where Marty's parents get together, will spill out from the high school into the town square. So there will be a dance component of this. I'm not sure if it's going to be modern music, which I wouldn't like, or it's going to be... It does have a live band, so if they come out and it's really going to be the Starlighters playing Earth Angel, I'm there for that. That would be amazing.
Like a flash mob.
Yeah, that's essentially what it's going to be like. I'm also curious to see what are they going to try to recreate, the big chase around the courthouse square with Marty on the skateboard? Sounds a little dangerous. But are they going to try to do other scenes as well, or will these people just be around? And it all leads up to the finale of the film, where the lighthouse, the courthouse, and the clock tower get struck by lightning, and it sends the DeLorean off at 88 miles per hour, and he goes back to the future. And that's the big show to close out the hour. Now, I'm very interested in this. Not just because it's Back to the Future, but I'm very interested in how are they going to pull us off, what's going to be included. Again, there's a lot of questions around this, but it sounds exciting.
Yes. I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna be very, very disappointed if they don't have the iconic manure truck.
With smell-o-vision.
Yes.
Now, there are going to be characters you can meet. They've confirmed that for this. I don't know if these are the only ones, but there will at least be Doc Brown, Marty McFly, and Einstein the dog.
What about Biff?
I don't know if there will be a walk around Biff. I hope so.
Yeah, I want to walk around Biff.
I want him to call me a butthead.
I don't know. This is gonna be interesting. I'm excited to see. Especially because we don't really get to do any walk around events at the town square.
No, we're used to doing it at the Bates Motel.
Yes, the Bates Motel, and then going through the old town of where what is it? Don't Look Up.
Nope.
No, Nope.
Nope. Which is also has been removed. So
yes.
all my studio tour dreams are coming true.
I think they started listening to your reviews.
They did. They finally did. They're listening to us. John Murdy got on the phone. Was like, "Look, guys, we have to. The Hollywood horror nerds aren't happy."
Oh my goodness! Thank you, sir. You finally listened.
Yeah.
No, but I am excited to see. They're probably gonna have some DeLorean.
Oh yeah, it'll be out. They'll have one of the ones. I don't know if they'll actually have. I watched a whole epic Back to the Future where all the DeLoreans now show on HBO Max. Actually, I don't know why it's not on Peacock. And I learned that there is a surviving DeLorean at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. I don't know if they'll bring that one out for this or if they will just have a recreation, but there'll be something.
I'm assuming it's probably going to be a recreation if they don't get the one from the Peterson's car museum. However, I would be more disappointed if it was the recreation. I want an actual car.
I mean, they are going to have this scene where Marty takes off the car and the lightning hits. I'm really curious, how are they going to simulate the lightning? Are they going to go really cheap, or are they going to actually have something that looks like lightning in the clock tower? I don't know. I can imagine that they'll have sparks, maybe not sparks, but some kind of light come down on the... You can have Doc Brown swinging down from the clock tower. That's a stunt. They do that in Waterworld. They can do that here. And I imagine the car, and there'll be a lot of like smoke effect will come up, and when it clears, the car will be gone. I imagine they'll have little flames in the street underneath that will shoot up as the car passes over, like it's leaving the trail. I'm curious to see how they disappear the car, and I'm curious to see how they have the lightning strike, and I'm curious to see what other scenes are there for the hour that you're there. I think they're going to have a lot of problems with crowd capacity here. Because the way they're saying it is you just get in line at the studio tour. It's a fan tram now. But as the fan tram fills up, it takes you. You get on it. When you're done, you come back. I think they're going to find there's going to be people who are going to show up and say, I want to spend 6 hours in Hill Valley. I don't want to leave. And it'll quickly get to a capacity that is not sustainable anymore. And they will have to start limiting how many people are being let in. And there'll probably be a wristband. It'll probably like if you have the blue wristband, you can be here between 8 and 9. After 9, all the blue wristbands have to leave. Then we move in the red wristbands. Once all the red wristbands are here, now we do the next show. Because you want to be there for the full hour to see everything, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to show up like after half an hour, you see the second half, then you see the first half, and then you leave. That would be weird. You want to be there for the full hour. So very curious to see how they handle the crowd control. Also, the concept of the characters just walking around and you can talk to them. It's a good idea, but I know, like I went to the Dickens Fair in San Francisco last year. And it works at the Dickens Fair because there's a lot of Dickens characters walking around. So you can see Nicholas Nickleby or Oliver Twist. But there's all of them and there's a lot of other stuff going on. So you go up and you go talk to Nicholas Nickleby, but he's not mobbed at all times. But if you're at Courthouse Square for Back to the Future Destination Hill Valley, and you've dressed up like Marty McFly, and you see Doc Brown, you're going to want to go talk to Doc Brown. The problem is there's 30 other Marty McFlys, and you all want to go talk to Doc Brown. So I'm worried it's going to be a bit of a mob scene, and they're going to have to limit how people come up and talk to these characters.
It's going to be a Rick with its many Mortys.
Yeah, that's true. I'd be curious. That would be a funny cosplay to do if you show up as Rick and Morty.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Because they're obviously a rip from Doc Brown and
Marty. Oh, yeah, it's very, very cool. Somebody at Universal's kicking themselves if they didn't make that show themselves.
Right? It's going to be, mob control and staying for an hour. It's going to be an interesting project because I'm assuming they would have to clear out everyone perhaps first before they bring in the new batch. Otherwise, how would they control anyone? Yeah,
I'm very curious.
Staying? And this also leads to the idea of if you're down there for a whole hour, when you're waiting, that's going to be a long wait. That's going to be an hour.
Yeah,
wait.
Is there going to be enough going on in between show scenes to keep you entertained? Or is there going to be enough shows? Or is it really just going to be a few show scenes at the end? And maybe 40 minutes of just milling around. Which, honestly, I could have a fun 40 minutes just milling around at the Courthouse Square set, taking pictures, and that's honestly enough. You and I could spend 40 minutes doing that, no problem.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm here for Star Trek and I say, well, I want to see the DeLorean show. Am I happy that now I have to spend 30 minutes? I don't know. Also, I do not think the food for Back to the Future is not going to be in the same place. It's not going to be on the studio lot. The food is going to be in the Mel's Diner, where you and I have been. We went there on the day of the terrible, no good mobile order, but we didn't have to mobile order there because it was the end of the day.
And there was no one there. It was beautiful.
We loved it. It was like, a normal ordering process. Yeah. And it was the same food that was at the Jurassic Cafe, but we didn't care.
That was the worst part. It wasn't even like better food or different food.
I got the chicken Caesar salad, and after that day, I was so happy to have a vegetable. I didn't care. Yeah. Now, the food is kind of neat. There's not as many items. They have two kinds of melts. There's a pastrami melt called the Time Machine that has a flux capacitor kind of burned into the top of the patty, which is not the patty, the bread, which is fun. There's also a flux capacitor patty melt. They have the Doc Brown chicken pot pie, which I think is a throwback to the old Doc Brown chicken restaurant that they used to have. And the Time Traveler malt shakes. This is kind of a fun 50s menu. I would say this is probably the menu I'm the most interested in as well.
It makes sense why it's in Mel's, because Mel's an old-timey diner.
Exactly. It's an old-timey diner. And for this one, I don't think, again, the theming won't be heavy, but I don't think no pun intended, but I don't think it has to be, because it's already themed to a 50s diner.
Yeah, it's already a 50s diner.
Right.
What are they gonna change? Like,
But I think at the actual Hill Valley experience itself, I think you'll be limited to maybe a hot dog cart and some popcorn and pretzel, stuff like that, and hopefully a few porta potties.
you know what? It's gonna be hilarious. If they're gonna have, you know, when Marty first goes back in time, and he's in the shop. What's passing around is that car announcing the mayor's re-election campaign.
Yeah, they should have that.
How
I mean, they're
about
really
they-
trying to set it up that when you arrive, I think Mr. Sandman will be playing. And it's supposed to be like you are then Marty in that scene. You step back and you're in 1955. And again, I'm curious, will they have actors walking around who are just dressed like a normal 1955 guy to really sell that? I don't know. That would be cool. Probably not cost effective, but cool.
It doesn't have to be cost effective.
Yeah.
I want them to go all out.
No, I do too. So, I mean, I think we've gone over the questions we have, but again, the positive here is just Back to the Future is back. It feels like it never should have left. I like the Simpsons ride for what it is, but it's no replacement for Back to the Future at the Universal Park.
I have so many childhood memories of riding in the Back to the Future ride and just going after old Biff in the time
Yep.
machine. Oh, beautiful times.
Of all the rides I've ever been on, no ride gives you that same feeling as when you walked off Back to the Future. That like I really just saved the day. I really went on that adventure. I don't know why, but it had that je ne sais quoi. You know, it had that something that is very hard to capture.
Yeah, I think it's just Back to the Future has just been so ingrained into our psyche, and it's just
There's something
really
about
hard
it.
to-
There's something about
yeah.
that movie that endures. I think part of why it endures. Now we're really getting off topic. One more gush about Back to the Future. Part of the reason why it endures is because usually a movie that's contemporary. Think of something like Friends, right? Friends was just contemporary when it came out, and now it's very dated. You're like, oh god, it's so 90s. Like I can barely watch it. But Back to the Future, the contemporary scene in 1985 isn't filmed in a way that's like this is just modern day. It's filmed in a way that this is a distinct era from the 1955. So it you don't mind that it's so 80s because it's contrasted with it's so 50s. So it holds up. It holds up more like a movie that's made today but set in the 90s or set in the 80s, where it feels like a period piece even though it was set in modern day. There's a lot of other reasons, but I think that's one reason why it holds up so well generation after generation.
yeah. I'm excited. All right, let's go.
So you were at a 20 before I detailed the
Yes.
the offerings. Where are you now?
I think I went down to 50.
Oh, okay. The multiplier decreased. It was going to be a times 10 multiplier.
Yes.
All right.
Gotta keep
Moving
you on your toes.
along, let's talk about the next experience. This is the last one that has a kind of an immersive walkthrough experience. Dungeons and Dragons: Secrets of Waterdeep. How excited are you, 1 to 10, for Dungeons and Dragons?
I am gonna be honest. I can't be excited for something I don't know. If that makes sense. This is
What's your
what-
familiarity level with Dungeons and Dragons?
0.
0.
I know there's a game, the Dungeons and Dragons.
Do you even know what the game is about?
I'm assuming it's about dragons and about dungeons.
It has those, yes. I don't know if that's what it's about.
That's my whole idea of it. This is one of those things that I was never really into.
Okay. So your level is like a 0. This is a nothing for you.
Yeah, this is a nothing burger just because I don't know it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is like the Exorcist Believer House level for you.
Ah.
All right. Well, let's see if I can sell you one. I do know a little about Dungeons and Dragons. I have played it before a few times. I can name, but I know there's also a whole lore surrounding it that I can name one character because he's in Dead by Daylight, and that's
First
it.
of all, what is the medium for this game? Is it a video game? Board game?
No. Well, it exists now. It's a multimedia franchise, but its core, it's a tabletop role-playing game. So there's a book you read that gives you the rules, but there's no board. You have your character, and the game master who designs the game for you, he's like, okay, you walk into the first room of the dungeon. What do you want to do? And it's kind of told narratively by the players. But when you want to say, I want to attack the goblin, you have to roll dice and you use your stats to determine did I hit the goblin or not.
Oh, it's one of those games. Yeah.
It is that. I mean, every other game like that is derivative of Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons invented that entire genre.
All right, I'm gonna roll for inspiration to like this then. Okay.
So let's talk about what's coming. Now, again, this is leaning more into the lore, the established. So when you buy the Dungeons and Dragons book, you can just say, "I want to make my own world." And it gives you the tools to do that, but it also says, "Here's also a world you can play in that we've made for you," and this takes place in that world. So the Secrets of Waterdeep provides guests with a truly epic experience. They're transported into the fantastic world of D&D. With the story anchored in the Sword Coast in the town of Waterdeep, guests will get the opportunity to join the Harpers, a heroic spy network, to help foil a plot by the legendary beholder Xanthar in order to save all of Waterdeep. While navigating this unique immersive experience, guests will traverse across 7 different themed rooms located in Soundstage 15, beginning with a pre-show that leads them to the Quest Unveiled, through Marketplace Mayhem, to the Tunnel Divide, through the Rune Rumble, into an illuminated passage, and finally to Xanthar's lair before at last emerging victorious, though of course with many surprises promised along the way. A particular note is that to bring Xanthar to life in this experience, Universal Studios Hollywood is collaborating with Jim Henson's Creature Shop, a world-renowned innovator in animatronics, puppetry, and digital animation for already 40 years, to create an interactive figure based with authenticity to the character.
Ooh, okay. That's a lot. That's a mouthful.
Let's try to take this bit by bit. So all the stuff about the story and where it's set, it's all, Chinese to me. I don't speak the language. I do know what a beholder is. A beholder is basically a giant eyeball with a lot of tentacles coming out of it. It's a cool, pretty unique Dungeons and Dragons monster. And I'm very excited to actually see, they're really pushing the idea that they're working with Jim Henson to make a bigger animatronic or puppet than they've ever done for Horror Nights. And we've had some complaints the last few years about the puppets they've been using at Horror Nights, although here and there we've been impressed. I think by and large over the first season of our show we had more criticism than praise. So I'm curious to see what this turns out. If they pull off like a really cool monster, that's going to really elevate this for me at the end.
That's going to be interesting. Puppeteering has become its pros and cons. Like when the Chucky Maze came out a couple years ago, the puppets were amazing. It was great, but then some of the puppets in what was it?
Quiet Place.
Stranger Things and Quiet
Place. Oh yeah, Stranger Things too.
Yeah, Stranger Things.
There's been some really bad ones in Stranger Things.
Yeah. It was just like god awful. It's just like it would have been best if you just had nothing.
Now I feel like this is the one that will be most like a Horror Nights attraction. First off, Soundstage 15, I believe this is where the weekend was last year, so I believe it's behind the Transformers ride. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure that's where this is. It's either behind the Transformers ride or it's where Eternal Bloodlines was, where you walk past Jurassic World. But I don't think you're going to have to walk across a active studio street, so I think it's going to be behind the Transformers ride. You go through all these different rooms. It sounds a lot like Horror Nights. You can imagine you're going through a dungeon and like a goblin jumps out. So it feels like this will be the most Horror Nightsy of the 3 experiences. But I don't know how Horror Nightsy still will be, because I don't think it's going to be overly scary. They're not pushing scare for this. They're saying this is for all of, this whole event is for people who are kind of interested in Horror Nights, but don't love horror. They don't want to be scared all night. Yeah. So I don't think they're going to lean into it too much, even though they could here.
I'm surprised they don't want to lean into it. I loved being scared, but it's getting harder and harder every year.
Well, they don't lean into it because they have our audience who likes being scared. They've already captured that audience. They're trying to expand.
That's true.
I know people who have told me like straight up, I don't go to Horror Nights even though it sounds cool because I don't like being scared, but I'm going to FanFest because it's giving me that experience but without the scares.
It also, not gonna lie, all of this almost sounds like Comic-Con.
That's what they're going for. They're going for that Comic-Con. That's why they're pushing the cosplay. And again, I think there might be, I think they don't know everything that they're going to do. I think there's going to be a lot of experimentation, even week to week during this event. Because they've never done this before. This is the first time they've done a non-Horror Nights separate ticket event. Mm-hmm. And I know Disney does this, and they're trying to kind of ape that and have their own version. Disney does, 90s night and Star Wars night, and this is, they're pulling what IPs can we get that Disney can't get, what can we do? So we'll see. And I think there might, they were talking, will you be able to play Dungeons & Dragons? Will it be like, hey, I work for Universal, I have a little adventure, if you want to sit down and play with me, it takes 30 minutes, something like that. I don't know.
that would be interesting because I mean, in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, you have the wands and the different areas you can use your wand in. So I'm assuming with Dungeons and Dragons, there might be different places where you could potentially like roll for blank.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool if you could go up to a guy and say like, he's like, oh, I'm a salesman. It'd be funny if you could roll a dice at the shop, and if you get a between 15 and 20, you get a savings.
Yeah,
that would be
like,
funny.
When you get ready to pay, it'd be like, roll for 50% off.
Yeah. And I think, again, there's so many questions about this event. And we're not going to know until we know. So you're going to definitely want to come back for the review podcast.
Yes.
Now I'm interested. This one also, they're going pretty big with the food. This one is going to be the most themed because they're putting the food area where they usually have the themed bar for horror nights. If you remember, what was it last year? Did we even go to it last year?
For the food section?
The bar where you walk up the stairs and there's a special VIP bar in the back above Jurassic World.
I think we skipped it.
We might have skipped it.
It was the weekend bar again.
It was the weekend bar again, and we don't care.
And we had done the weekend bar.
Yeah, we've been there, done that. But usually that area is more themed, and I have seen some pictures have now been posted online because you can see that's an open air area. It looks like they put up some wallpaper. They're making it look a little bit more like a tavern. Again, it's not going to be over. Don't expect you're going to walk in. It's like, wow, I just walked into the Green Dragon from Lord of the Rings. It's so immersive, but a little more. It's going to be a little more immersive. The food sounds cool. This actually, I think, has some of the most interesting food. The First Roll Tavern, they call it Jurassic Cove. They have a Traveler's Ration Pack, which is kind of like a trail mix, which is kind of fun. The Fireball sounds cool. It's a spicy chocolate brownie with a strawberry, chili, and lime filling topped with Pop Rocks. And it looks like a fireball. It's a cool looking little thing. And they talked about, especially for Dungeons and Dragons, they want the food to not only taste like an experience, but also when you eat it, it's kind of an experience in and of itself. Mm-hmm. That's the texture and stuff like the Pop Rocks they're adding in there to try to make it feel like I'm eating a fireball. They have a gelatinous cube, and then they have a bunch of drinks too.
I wonder if they're gonna have something like a health potion.
They do. They have one. I could see some picture. I think it's the Red Dragon's Breath, which is a red cocktail. What's in it? But it's a smoking. It has dry ice in it, so it looks like it's smoking, like a dragon. And what's the other one? The Eldritch Blast is green with little cubes in it, so it looks like something's been cubed, and it looks like it's a bit of mint in it. It looks tasty.
All right, we're definitely.
So I think if you're going to go to one food place, I would recommend this one. So now that you know a little bit more about the Dungeons and Dragons experience, has this raised you from a 0?
I think I'm going for maybe like 3 to 4 range. We're like,
all right, we get a good gain. It's better from 0. Yeah. It has your interest, but not your attention.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'll listen to your sales pitch, just to be polite.
I do think it was smart to include this along with Star Trek, because I think the Venn diagram for people who are Trekkies and people who are into Dungeons and Dragons is just one circle.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right. So those are also the only 3 that have their own immersive experiences. Let's talk about the 2 anime ones next. So One Piece Grand Pirate Gathering. How excited are you for what you? I didn't know this about you. I didn't know you were into anime. How excited are you for One Piece?
Okay, this is again where I know a little bit about it, but not a lot. I know that the whole idea of One Piece is that they're going to find the One Piece, which is a treasure. They're all pirates. They're all looking for the treasure.
I know they're pirates.
The One Piece. So, there's some fruits in this show, like what he eats that gives him his stretching power. So I'm assuming it's going to be a lot about that. The costumes though are sometimes very risque. For the anime?
That I did not know.
I'm wondering what it's gonna.
Well, I think usually costumes in anime are a little risque for real life.
Yeah. So I wonder what they're gonna do with that, and how they're gonna make that function if they're gonna have.
All right. Well, on our 1 to 10 scale, where are you for One Piece?
I think I'm at a 5 to 6.
5's decent.
Yeah,
no, I'm at I'm at like a 0 for One Piece, but I have seen people online who are going to FanFest just for One Piece. And this has a big following, and the following that it has is very dedicated. So I
Yeah.
think this was a smart get for them. Even though I'm so divorced from that fandom, I know it's a large, vibrant fandom.
Yeah.
So about what they're offering, similar to how Halloween Horror Nights has scare zones, Universal Fan Fest nights will have fan zones, providing guests with the opportunity to join the Straw Hat crew as they venture through an interactive, immersive experience on the upper lot that includes iconic visuals and environments from the series, uplifting meet and greet opportunities with a variety of characters, and themed interactive photo ops.
Damn.
So what this reminds me of, and I think it might have been a demo for this, remember last year we went to the Murder of Crows scare zone. And we said this is so different from how scare zones usually were, but they had that big baby crow to take a picture with, and the scare actors were more interacting with you than just trying to jump out of you. I think it's going to be a lot like that.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I'm excited for that. Quick little side note. This series has been... It's still ongoing, mind you. It's still ongoing.
Yeah, it is.
And it's been ongoing since 1999. With
It's getting a little long in the tooth.
with 1,100 episodes. Over 1,100 episodes.
And how many issues of the manga have there been?
That's a great...
Probably a lot.
Let's find out.
I don't know. Again, I think if you're into One Piece, this will be exciting. I don't know if this is going to be somewhere where you're going to be able to spend more than, even if you're a mega fan, more than 30, 40 minutes. Because these scare zones are usually you walk through them. Even Murder of Crows, you would stop a little bit, but there's not a lot there. Once you take the pictures and you've seen the characters, you're done.
Yeah. I want to eat the gum fruit. That's all I care about right now.
Oh, I think they have that. Let's talk about the One Piece food. The One Piece food is moving inside of the Cocina Mexicana, which I believe is where they usually have the Dia de los Muertos area, I think.
Yeah, that's usually
I think.
what it is.
And they have, that's little weird star fruits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they put that on a barbacoa taco.
What the fuck?
Because it's all kind of Mexican themed still. Like looking at the menu, they have Frankie's Cola Barbacoa. This is, by the way, Sanji's Galley. I believe Sanji is a character from the show as well. Luffy's Meat on the Bone, Zoro's Torta, Sanji's Chicken Adobo, Straw Hat Crew Nachos, Devil Fruit Concha. So this is it's a lot of Mexican inspired One Piece food.
This mashup is very peculiar. I'm not gonna lie.
Because I don't think they're not. Are they in the Caribbean, or I thought they were in Asia?
I mean, it's Japanese.
Yeah, I always assumed they were around Singapore pirates. Maybe they're in the Caribbean. I don't know.
Honestly, they can be wherever they want.
And they might be in like a whole fantasy world. I think now that the more I think of it, I don't think they exist in the real world.
No, I doubt it. Let's find out.
But I think they do good numbers from the Dia de los Muertos area in terms of the food, and they feel like we should have another area like that for FanFest nights.
Yeah. According to online sources, it's its own world. It's called the Blue Planet.
Okay, maybe it's a very Hispanic world.
Sure.
I don't know. I mean, the food sounds good. If I get the food pass, I might get the Straw Hat Crew nachos. It's Caribbean jerk chicken, queso, pineapple, salsa, and cilantro. Sounds pretty good.
They're just throwing everything and anything against the wall at this point and just seeing what sticks. Because these fusions are...
You seem very skeptical of the One Piece menu.
Yes, this One Piece menu sounds very odd.
All right, so now that you know... So you were at a 4 or 5 on One Piece coming. Now that you know about the odd, to use your word, the odd menu and the fan zone being the extent of it, has it gone up or down or stayed the same?
I think it went down to just a solid 4.
We went down a whole step.
Yeah, I was like...
It's not pirate food.
My accidental outburst was very out of hand. I
Yeah.
apologize. But it did express my shock.
I mean, Back to the Future is having 50s diners food.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons is having magical medieval tavern food.
Yeah.
Star Trek is having food that's actually named from the show.
Yeah.
One Piece has tacos.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. I
didn't think of it that way, but you make a good point.
I assumed it was gonna be more like seafood.
Yeah,
Because
that would make sense.
they're on a ship.
I don't see any seafood on
So
this. Oh,
if
there's
they're
a grilled shrimp. There's a shrimp and the torta.
If they're trying to.
It's in a torta, though.
If for those of you who don't know what a torta is, it's basically like a sandwich.
Yeah, it's like a sub sandwich, but with Mexican food.
But if they really wanted to have that whole fusion with Mexican food, they should have had ceviche.
That would be good.
And like shrimp tostadas, something.
All right.
So it's very
So
odd.
we've got down. We're down to the 4. It is odd.
It's odd.
Let's talk about the next anime offering. Jujutsu Kaisen. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. I practiced. Jujutsu Kaisen, Hunger of the Cursed. Do you have any idea what this is? I've never heard of this before.
I've heard of the show. I have not watched the show, unfortunately.
I think it's demon hunting.
Is it?
I think based on what I've read about FanFest, it's like they're hunting demons. I think.
I'll take your word for it right now until I do my own research. However, if it's about demon hunting, I'm all down for that. I was into Inuyasha when I was a kid.
So that one I don't know much about, but I do know it exists.
Yes. If it's anything similar, then yeah, I'll be into it.
Let me tell you what this show is about. Jujutsu Kaisen, Hunger of the Cursed, will immerse guests in the world of high school student Yuji Itadori after he is forced to become the host of a powerful curse and subsequently joins Tokyo Jujutsu High School, an organization that fights such curses. Located in the DreamWorks Theater, this epic experience will take guests on a film-based adventure, making its debut in the United States after initially premiering at Universal Studios Japan in 2022.
Interesting. So they're high school students, as most animes are. High
Yes.
school age people.
It should have been Sailor Moon. I would go with that.
Yeah. Of course you would. First one in line, too, for that photo op, huh?
Again, this is one... The reaction to this, I saw people who are in this anime world, they were like, oh, that's really cool that they're bringing this. They were surprised, but also excited. So I think this does have its fans. I don't think it has the same following that One Piece has.
Yeah.
But I think it is well regarded. And I think part of the reason they're doing it is because they were looking at what can we get for FanFest. We already have this film in Japan that we made for Universal Studios. We can just port it over pretty cheaply.
Yeah, but it's also like a very well followed anime. So I'm excited from the anime perspective of it, but I will make my final choice once you tell me what the food is. And I swear, if you tell me it's more Mexican anime food,
Well,
I'll drop it down.
well, what I'm going to say about this one is I'm excited for the fans of this property to experience
like
the
it.
show.
I'll
I'm
like
not.
it if you like it.
I don't know. This show would probably be a skip for me. I'm a little skeptical. I mean, we don't go there. I haven't been to the DreamWorks show to see the Shrek show since I was a kid. It's just gonna be watching a movie and like the seats move and there's a little smell-o-vision. I think that's the extent of it.
The last time we were in that auditorium was for Megan and Chucky.
That was good. That one I liked.
Was it?
The Megan dance was fun.
No,
we gave Chucky a thumbs up.
They both kind of sucked.
Well, we had such high expectations for Chucky.
Yeah, that's true.
He did answer my question, but he answered it wrong. Anyway, so the food. Are you ready to hear about the food?
Yes.
So this one does not have its own restaurant. What it has is a rethemed DreamWorks concession cart.
Can you explain further? What?
It's all dessert. They have I can pronounce all this. The Cursed Crunch is a red velvet cookie with white chocolate chips.
Okay.
10 Shadows Churro. You can either get a cookies and cream or a chocolate churro with some drizzle on top. Yuji chocolate brownie. And a Nabara strawberry hammer smash. Frozen strawberry beverage with sweet and spicy chili and lime rim.
That sounds peculiar.
It's all dessert. It's all desserts.
Alright, so we're gonna get a sweet tooth out of this experience.
Yeah.
I mean,
If the alcoholic drinks at horror nights and fanfest nights aren't sweet enough for you, 'cause
Right?
there's usually a lot of sugar in those drinks.
you're gonna be hyped up.
Oh yeah, well you gotta stay up till like 2 a.m. You gotta be.
That's what I was thinking about that too. It's like, yeah, you're gonna.
It's night. You might need to go get the 10 Shadows churro just to stay awake.
Honestly, if they had like a nap section at Universal, I think it'd be very popular.
I think that's usually called the DreamWorks Theater.
Dang. But yeah, I'm excited only that it's an anime show. The food is a little too sweet for me. However, execution.
This one isn't moving the needle for me. If I'm thinking, do I want to spend 30 minutes watching this show or spend another 30 minutes at Courthouse Square, or maybe I go right Transformers. I mean, I would rather do almost anything else. But I do think it's another fan base they're bringing in. This is the thing about FanFest I said at the top of the show, that unlike Horror Nights where a horror fan just usually do everything, it's all horror. This is a lot more specialized, where I don't think everyone's going to want to do everything.
No, but we should still do it just
to review it for the podcast. Yo, I didn't think about that. You're right. I'm going to have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not even. I don't. That would be worth it if we got a free pass from Universal. If they reached out.
The equivalent of RIP pass.
All right. I didn't get your number before. What would have been like a 3 or a 4?
I think it's about a 3.
And did it go up or down once you learned the food?
No, the food didn't really help, to be honest. But the fact that it's demon hunting, that makes it more exciting. So maybe like a 5 for that part.
Okay. Oh, it went up. It went up. It went up. Maybe you'll become a fan after this. You'll go watch the whole series.
Dude, I don't have time for that. In anime, there's always a lot of episodes, and I feel like this anime is going to have a lot of episodes.
All right. That's it for the new IPs, but they are enhancing some IP already in the park.
Ooh,
so they have, let's talk about the 2 that they're enhancing. The Wizarding World of Harry Potter, which was, I mean, Harry Potter coming to Universal was a real sea change moment. Maybe we'll have a podcast somewhere just talking about that, how it changed the whole balance of power between Disney and Universal. It feels like that difference is now being realized as they open Epic Universe in Florida and expand out in the UK. But anyways, back home in Hollywood, to add to the immersion of the Wizarding World, well, how excited are you, first of all, just to know something new is coming to Harry Potter? I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. How excited are you at the idea of something new?
I am very excited.
You like Harry Potter?
I was a Harry Potter fan. I read all the books. I had a lot of merch. It was a fun time. I tried to write to Daniel Radcliffe when I was in grade.
Did he write back?
No, I ended up not doing it because my 4th grade head later got interested in something else and completely forgot to write the letter.
Also, I don't think he writes back unless you deliver it by owl. So.
Darn. But.
So okay, so high. Let's say where do you say you are? Like an 8, 9?
I'm at a solid 10.
Solid 10. Okay, let's see if you go down or up. Or stay the same. Saying the same should be, in theory, would be the maximum.
If they make like Hogsmeade burritos.
New to add to the immersion of the Wizarding World in the spirit of fandom for Universal FanFest nights, guests will have the opportunity to enjoy all new magical creature interactions in Hogsmeade, including the ability to meet a baby Niffler and a baby dragon, as seen in Universal Studios Japan, as well as the debut of the first Grand Okami creature interaction to be featured in any Universal park. Additionally, the centerpiece of the immersive Wizarding World experience unique to Universal FanFest nights will be the Hollywood debut of the Hogwarts Always light projection show against the backdrop of Hogwarts Castle, featuring stunning visual effects designed to take guests on a journey through the memorable moments of a school year at Hogwarts. So we have a few new creature interactions, they're calling them. I have seen the puppets they're using for these, or the animatronics. They look pretty cool. I don't remember what an Okami is, but the dragon looks pretty cool. And the baby Niffler is that creature from the first Fantastic Beasts that really liked the coins. I think that's a pretty cute. I like that one. It's about the only thing I remember from that movie, but I like it.
The way I can explain it, he looks like a baby platypus.
Yeah, he does. That's what I was looking for. He looks like a baby platypus. He's cute.
Yeah, he's very adorable.
Yeah.
So if they can get a real life Niffler, that'd be great.
Let me look what an Okami is real quick.
Yeah, what is that one? What does it look like? Cause
Oh, it's like a dragony thing. It's like a snaky dragon.
is
It's
it?
pretty. Like a purple. You know what it looks like? It looks like Quetzalcoatl.
Oh. Yes. I see it now. I'm seeing a picture of it. It's a rainbow dragon that's
Yeah.
very snake-like.
But more like a Latin American or Asian dragon than the traditional European dragon.
I guess this is
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I'm into it.
This is the Mexican influence that it's getting.
But I do like those little. I like when they bring out the Toad course at the Wizarding World. I think that's pretty cute. So I'm down for some more magical animals. I don't know if I'm so excited for the projection show. That's not really my jam. I don't hate it. I don't think I've ever actually stopped to watch the ones that they've done. Have you seen? I know they do a Dark Arts one. I think they do another one. Have you seen either of them?
No, I haven't. I only stayed at one point for, I think it was the little dance numbers that they do the square.
I've seen those. I like those dance
Yeah.
numbers.
I've seen those. I haven't really stayed for any of the other experiences, mainly because I'm never around. Those.
Yeah, usually we're doing something else by that time.
Yeah, we're never around there when they're happening. And it
Maybe
just-
we'll make a point to see this one for the review. But I know they've also done this at Florida, and people who like this sort of thing like it. So people were excited to see this. That's as much as I can tell you.
If you like it, you like it.
Now, some of the food for Harry Potter is actually pretty cool. They're really going British. And also, so this is a little bit of a special case.
Okay.
So unlike the other menus that are just all quick service, this one, if you want to do the full Harry Potter food experience, you need to get a reservation. It's required. You can make it for free through the Universal Studios app, but you have to reserve ahead of time and also put in your menu ahead of time. So you order, I think this is cute, you get a Hogwarts Cornish pastry. They're all potato and pea pastries, but they have a different colored chutney. So like Gryffindor has the red pepper chutney, Slytherin has a mint chutney, Hufflepuff has mango, and Ravenclaw's blueberry. So the chutney is a different color based on your house. I think that's fun.
Explain to those who don't know what a chutney is.
It's like a sauce.
There you go.
Were you one of those who didn't know what a chutney was?
I neither confirm nor deny these allegations.
And then the food for this is very English. It's a Sunday roast, a curry chicken, fish and chips, or toad in the hole. So they really are going in with that UK inspiration. And they have a golden snitch that you can eat for dessert.
I was hoping they would have beans and toast.
They also have non-reservation Harry Potter food. Like the chutneys, they have house churros that are all different flavors based on your house. The Gryffindor is cherry, the Slytherin is green apple, the Hufflepuff is pineapple, and the Ravenclaw is blue raspberry, all topped with vanilla icing. You can also get the Hogwarts meat pie, which I'm excited about. I love meat pies. I went to England 2 New Years ago, and the meat pie is by far the highlight of the food. Great meat pie is really good. It's a puff pastry with braised beef, potatoes, peas, carrots, and onions. So definitely not. I mean, this is the opposite of the One Piece, where they're very much going in for more authentic British food.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting. British food sounds interesting.
They don't have some of the weirder British foods. They don't have the Scotch egg.
They don't have the meat pie. No, the
They do have the meat pie.
Blood sausage?
They don't have blood sausage, no. I think they have blood sausage for the breakfast, though.
Aren't blood sausages illegal? Like the authentic
I don't
ones?
know. I don't know. Okay, so now that you know the Harry Potter attractions, you were at a 10 before. Did it stay at a 10 or did it come down?
I think it's still at a 10. We're just going to have to make sure we are around for the shows.
Probably eating a Hogwarts house churro and a meat pie.
Yeah. Do you know what house you're in?
A Hufflepuff.
Really?
Yeah, what are you?
I can see that.
Hufflepuff's where the cool kids hang out.
No, they're the ones that were. I can't say that. I'm a Ravenclaw.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we got the cool blue and the ones who had to answer riddles to get into their dormitory.
The Hufflepuffs are the ones who we don't care about the war. We're just here for a good time.
Yeah, the best way
we are in our vibe. We're feeling ourselves.
There's the way it was portrayed to me, Hufflepuffs are the. We're probably gonna have to age this restriction this episode. It's the stoners.
The way I see it as a Hufflepuff is every other house is full of the type A's, and Hufflepuffs, we're chill. We're living our best lives.
Honestly, yeah, that's why you guys are next to the kitchens.
Yeah, that's where you want to be.
You just have you get
as many meat pies and churros as we want.
You get all the snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Who wouldn't want to be next to the snacks?
All right, let's talk about the last enhanced IP, Super Nintendo World. Let's Go Yoshi. How excited are you knowing only the title, Let's Go Yoshi? Are you excited or not? 1 to 10.
I am intrigued. I want to say...
Intrigued.
I want to give it a solid 5. Because
Okay.
I know Yoshi was a parent to Mario and Luigi.
That's true.
So...
Strangely true.
Yes.
Adoptive, but...
Yeah. So he's a parental figure, adoptive. I don't know Yoshi's gender.
I think there's multiple genders. No, I think they're all female. They all lay eggs.
Oh, okay. So, I'm assuming,
all right, let's talk about the Yoshi event. Carrying on the spirit of taking the theme park's land to the next level, Super Nintendo World will see the debut of a brand new Yoshi meet and greet character within the land during event nights. To celebrate Yoshi's arrival, guests can participate in a scavenger hunt throughout the land to locate all 5 colorful Yoshi eggs. Upon completing this quest, guests will be rewarded with a unique opportunity to meet a multicolored Yoshi. There was also going to be a drone show, but it got canceled. I think they didn't get the permits.
Oh.
Yeah. So no drone show, but you'll be able to meet Yoshi and do a little scavenger hunt.
That's exciting.
It's interesting that it is an activity. And this is also a big thing in Super Nintendo Land, that they want you to be able to interact with the land like you're playing a game.
I mean, it makes sense. It is a game.
Right.
He's a
it
video
does.
game character.
And usually I think you have to buy a special wristband to play the games at Nintendo Land, but this one I believe you could just find the Yoshi eggs on your own. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it's usually like a little watch band that you have to tap against the wall, and it activates the activity. If you don't have to buy it for this adventure, that's even better. I'm assuming you're going to be finding eggs.
Yes, Yoshi. For people who don't know, Yoshi is a green dinosaur. He looks like a very friendly velociraptor. So the best way I can put it, he's kind of that shape, but his head's rounder and nicer. And yeah, Mario rides on him, and he swallows up Mario's enemies and turns them into eggs, which you can then throw at other enemies. It's kind of horrific when you say it like that. It's much cuter in the game.
Yeah. Don't go into the nitty gritty. Just accept it and move on.
There are a few Yoshi themed food items as well. There's a Yoshi smoothie that is green apple, honeydew melon for a base. Sounds actually pretty good. And a Yoshi fettuccine alfredo, which has grilled chicken, broccoli, and mushrooms topped with Yoshi egg bread.
Interesting.
So it's just green. They put green.
Pasta.
They went really. I mean, I think Nintendo people like Yoshi. I don't know if it's enough to make the whole Yoshi land, but it's Yoshi. If you like Yoshi, this is the place for you.
I guess so. I'm assuming this is the area that's going to be heavily populated with children, since it is Yoshi.
I don't know how many children are going to go because this is a late event. It starts, I think, at 7 and runs till 2. But also, we've seen a lot of small children at horror nights, so
yes.
This is definitely more kid friendly.
Yeah. Especially because there's not going to really be jump scares. It's going to be like photo ops, just character interactions, and since it's getting later, and sunset's becoming later and later, the sun's going to be out for the majority of it. I feel like.
I will say that of all the IP enhancements or new IPs coming, Nintendo Land seems to be the lightest with a new character. Which I'm always a kind of build about meeting the characters at our age, and a little scavenger hunt that feels, I don't know, kind of kiddie.
It's Easter, basically.
Yeah, and only 2 food items. I don't know. This feels like light work. Like they wanted to do something, but what can they do easy?
It's like they needed to fill the slot, and
They did one more slot, yeah.
yeah, they ran out of like Yoshi.
What do we have? Yoshi. If it was like Kirby, I would be. If it was something like Kirby, or they were bringing like Zelda or like some other Nintendo, I would be more interested in that. But Yoshi's a pretty periphery character in the Mario world. Yeah.
It's gonna be. It's gonna be.
So what number are you putting at the Yoshi experience?
I think it's gonna be like a solid 3 now. It went
Okay,
down
that seems fair. Like if there was one that I could skip, it would be Jujutsu Kaisen. But if there were two that I could skip, it would be Jujutsu Kaisen and Yoshi.
What about Jujutsu Kaisen meets Yoshi?
Now that's interesting. You bring them together. I'm into that.
Yeah, it's either Yoshi is also a demon slayer or Yoshi is the demon. That'd be an interesting twist.
And also because the food is at the Toadstool Cafe, which might not be the case now, but I know the last times we've been, it's still been kind of has that new car smell, so it's been too packed to try to eat there.
Yeah.
If it's that same case, I don't want to wait in a big line for the Yoshi smoothie.
Are they still gonna? They're no longer doing reservations at Toadstool Cafe, right?
I don't think so. I think now it's like walking, but I think it's still a pretty big wait.
And, it's gonna be something.
Now, last but not least, this isn't an IP, but they are saying the Universal Plaza will be transformed into a block party every night for guests to participate in additional photo ops and fans to have the opportunity to engage in cosplay meetups. Live music will also be featured to help keep the fun spirit going all night long. I think it's fun they're saying it's live music. Does that mean a DJ or a band? Because that's very different things.
I'm assuming it's probably going to be a DJ.
I'm assuming that as well. But I think it would be better if it was a band.
I swear, if it was a mariachi band, I'd laugh.
But they all are dressed like One Piece.
Yeah. Keeping in with the Mexican mashup with it, yeah.
I think this is where they will try to experiment with trying different things. Like maybe you can play, maybe we have like a game that everyone here can play, or maybe we have like a cosplay contest. Like we're gonna have the Back to the Future cosplay contest at 10 o'clock and the Star Trek at 11 o'clock. And maybe bring all the winners together at like 1 and you have the best. Something like that could be cool. Maybe you say we're gonna have the Marty McFly karaoke challenge. Everyone tries to do their best Johnny Be Good. I think you have space to experiment here, and I think this is still going to be an experimental event, especially the first few weekends.
Yes, we're not going the first night. We're going to be going...
We're going the second weekend.
Yeah.
And frankly, I think the first weekend is going to be a mess. So I think...
Yeah.
I hope they learn by the second weekend.
You would hope so.
Yes.
I'll say I'm at a 0 just because...
You're at a 0 for the block party.
Yeah, because logistically, I'm like, I want to be surprised. I want to be happily surprised.
We'll see what that is. If it's just a guy playing, like one lame LA DJ playing music, who cares?
Which has been the case in the past in Horror Nights where they have DJs playing.
They've tried it. They had it on Thursdays. We couldn't go with Thursday. The year that they did that, so we weren't able to see it.
All right.
That's a wrap for everything coming to FanFest. What would you say your number is overall for the event now?
I think overall I'm at a 7. I'm excited for some of the locations more than others.
I would go up. I would say I'm at like an 8. I agree, and I think this is just an intrinsic thing they're doing because they're saying when Disney does this, it's all one thing. It's all Star Wars or it's all 90s animation. And Universal is saying we're going to pull in a lot of different and pretty diverse IPs, I think. So I think it's natural. No one is going to like everything.
No, that's impossible.
But I think also they picked IPs that a lot of people are going to like. You and I, crazy for Back to the Future. Yeah. A lot of people are going to be crazy for Star Trek. A lot of people are going to be crazy for One Piece. So they were smart about picking IPs that even if it's the only one you're interested in, you'll go just for that. I think it'll be a fun event. I think I have a lot of questions. I have a lot of concerns based on what we've seen about how they handle crowd control at Horror Nights, and we've seen what kind of budget they have for effects at Horror Nights. This isn't a John Murdy event, so this is a different brain trust designing this, so I think it could be more different than we're anticipating. Mm-hmm. Again, it's wait and see. They've been a little tight-lipped about that as well, which makes me nervous. But I think even the worst-case scenario, I think it's still going to be fun to be there. I think it's going to be really fun to dress up. I think, based on our experience from Midsummer Scream, correct me if you had a different experience, but my experience going to that, it was the first time I had been to an event with cosplay like that. And our first day, I wasn't planning on wearing cosplay. And just pulling into the parking station, by the time I was walking out of the parking lot, I was like, I need to be dressed up. Because it felt more awkward to not be dressed up than to be dressed up. And the dressing up was the most fun of that whole, it was a fun weekend, but that was the most fun thing we did, I thought. It was really more fun than I thought it would be.
It was even more fun when we went outside for lunch in costume.
I know. People were calling us out, yeah.
Yeah, that was an experience, not gonna lie.
The people of Long Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. I recently went back to that conference center for a work event, and it was not as fun.
Oh, no. It was still as... all right.
It was still fun, not as fun.
Not as fun.
But I think that's a wrap on FanFest for now. There are tickets are still available. Tickets sold very well when this launched. I know they sold out of some ticket options for the first weekend. They added some more. Tickets are still available, I believe, for every date. I don't know if VIP is. I know they had to close. I saw this online. Not every VIP tour sold enough. So if you want to do VIP, your options are a little more limited. They did close some of those. But I think front of the line is still available for most, if not all dates. Mm-hmm. And definitely general admission is.
That's good. General admission's always going to be available. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I've seen Horror Nights will sell out on certain dates if it's a good year. And it's interesting. I'll be interested to see too, because last year we had a lot of speculation about why is the crowd capacity down at Horror Nights. Is it because of bad IP, or is it because of people are just in, let's say, money mode after a big spend after COVID? I'll be interested to see, because I think this is bringing IP. Right, this is bringing some big IPs that either haven't been in the park or haven't been there for a long time. So if the attendance is down again, I don't think we can blame it on that. We're into just a new era where maybe theme park attendance isn't going to be as high as it was.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Yeah. That does it for FanFest for us at the Hollywood Horror Nerds. We will be back, I think, within this month. We are going back to the spooky swap meet in 2 weeks, and we're gonna have to get back together, I think, probably before FanFest, to talk about all about Horror Nights and all about general Universal Parks news, because there's been some things going on. Not a lot, nothing's been announced yet, but there's a lot of interesting speculation out in the world, and there's been some other things going on kind of on the periphery of Horror Nights that, we want to bring you all your updates. So we hope you're enjoying season 2 so far. I hope you'll come back next time. Thank you for listening to this production of the Hollywood Horror Nerds. We know you have many options for your listening entertainment, and we're glad you chose us. Find us on Instagram at Hollywood Horror Nerds, on X at HW Horror Nerds, and on YouTube at Hollywood Horror Nerds. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite conveyor of fine podcasts to make sure you don't miss the next episode. And until then, stay fantastic out there.